Hey everyone. As you may have known, I go to USC, one of the most notoriously wealthy colleges in the world. And throughout my years here, I've come to a few conclusions and thoughts that I'd like to share with you guys. So, as you may have known, the wealth inequality gap has been in the news a lot lately, especially after the killing of United Healthcare CEO by Mario's brother. And I think the wealth gap is extremely apparent at USC. Just if you visit the campus, you'll notice that the surrounding environment is extremely poor. It's in South Central LA where there's a lot of crime and drugs. We often see and hear helicopters swooping all over around the our apartments and the campus because the LAPD is constantly searching for criminals. And so, in that sense, it's a lot like GTA. But where was I? Um, there's the surrounding environment, and then there's also just how closed off USC is. Where, due to like the Palestinian protests, we're now the fully enclosed since I think since like the beginning of the university actually. So all exit points are closed off by fences, and the only way to get in is to present your ID. Before it was actually open to the public. We would often see skater kids come in and skate around the steps, and kids would play soccer on the fields. That's all gone now. And I think that's very worrisome because it shows how the elite in LA uh, are literally building fences, building walls to segregate themselves away from the disenfranchised. So I think that's a worrisome sign, and it shows that the rich don't want to tackle the wealth inequality problem head on. Instead, they're delaying it, they're procrastinating, and sooner or later, this is all going to reach a boiling point, which I'm not looking forward to, and I hope I graduate before then. So I'm currently studying business, and a lot of the kids there come from very wealthy families. Their parents are either CEOs or founders of startups, or like shipping magnates, people in high positions of government. And for example, like some kids I know, like they trade crypto. They lose a lot of money or make a lot of money. They own Teslas, they own BMWs, they own Mercedes Benz. One girl in my class went to Greece for Thanksgiving break. Just I literally saw her sitting next to me ordering like plane tickets and getting an Airbnb. That was something that I'd never experienced before. Another thing that I'd like to talk about is the financial aid, how completely screws over the middle class. So the rich are able to attend USC, they pay full tuition and they're fine because they have a lot of money. And then the very poor, due to affirmative action, USC wants a lot of these poor kids, kids from like poor families, to come to USC to make them look better. And all the financial aid, the money they get from donors, the government, and from the rich go to the poor, so then they can attend the school for free. But then you have the middle class. So they make enough money where they won't get that much financial aid, so they have to still pay a considerable amount of tuition, maybe half, and it's a pretty big burden on their families. So in that way, the middle class gets screwed over, and that's what you're seeing in society as a whole right now. We're seeing the middle class get completely steamrolled over by the economy. Um, like wages are going down, real wages are going down, and it's just you, especially with the lower middle class, it's just been very hard to afford basic necessities like groceries and afford rent. Um, so now that I've told you about gave you some examples of the wealth inequality gap in the LA area concerning USC. I'd like to talk about a call to action. What what are we going to do? What are the elites and the educated going to do about this situation? Because currently, with the new incoming administration, they're certainly not going to do anything. In fact, they're probably going to make it worse by decreasing taxes for the rich and imposing tariffs. Are we going to be like an ostrich and do nothing, bury our heads into the sand? Many of us actually did do that in the 2024 election by not voting. Nearly 6 million people who voted for Biden did not vote for Kamala. Are we going to continue to build walls and fences to segregate ourselves from this impending problem? I like to think about the movie World War Z, where Brad Pitt is in a helicopter, or the yeah, some helicopters circling the walls of, I think, Jerusalem in Israel somewhere, and the loud music is attracting all the zombies, and then because of how loud the music is, how much commotion and humans are there, the zombies, they just pile on each other, and they eventually get over the wall and start like eating people and turning them into zombies. So I want to leave that image in your head and think about, if this continues, then those zombies, or the poor disenfranchised people who are tired of this inequality, are going to get over your fences and turn you into zombies. Or we can, that's a very dismal possibility, and hopefully it won't come to that, but history often shows that it does. We have the option, however, to face the problem. We can go at it New Deal style, what FDR did during the Great Depression. And we can also decrease taxes for the lower class and increase them a lot. I think during the Great Depression, FDR made the income tax and the capital gains tax on the rich up to like 70% for like the top tax bracket. I think now it's down to maybe 30. So that's one solution. Another solution, I think, is to decrease the cost of education. Right now, a lot of public schools, they're cheaper than private schools, but they still do cost a considerable amount of money and are a big investment for families. So that's another thing that we can do. But I think our political system has to have an overhaul. Congress needs to have term limits. There needs to be an age limit for presidents. And there has to be some sort of safeguard against demagogues like Trump, people who take advantage of the anger and resentment of its working class and channel that into power that ultimately makes them even more worse off than before. I'm not too sure about what other solutions we have. I'm sure Bernie Sanders knows a lot more. But unfortunately, the American population has been so disillusioned by neoliberal policies that I fear that we are past the tipping point. We are past the point of no return, and that things are only going to get worse from here on. I hope that's not the case, but it's looking like it.